It was more noise from within. Guys are not getting the ball enough. Guys aren't holding their blocks long enough. Guys not getting off blocks. Guys not covering. People not trusting it. So it was just a big trust issue on the field that you could tell it was some issues all internally, off the field. I mean, last year, and where was we're still have a young defense.
He is a Philadelphia Eagle legend. Our friend Keith Byars joins us right now here. How you doing, Keith?
Oh, I'm doing good, Big Dan. Big Dan doing really good. You're talking about stealing. I got a Heisman Trophy stolen from me because somebody from Miami can't knock a freaking Hail Mary pass down. So I can have my trophy to be right here, right behind my head.
Oh, my God. That's so right. Wait a minute here.
Talk about stealing.
Tolbert Brain couldn't knock the pass down against Doug Flutie, who reminds me of that stupid play. Jerome, you fell in the mud, you should have blamed. Hey, Jerome fell in the mud. He could have got him there, but guess what? The guy gets behind, and Keith Byars loses out on a Heisman. Over 1,700 rushing yards that year, too, my friends. Unbelievable.
Oh, bro. I used to tease Jerome Brown all the time. I said, bro, I love you. All them great plays you had in college, you took that play off? That's the one play you took off, JB? He started laughing. You had a couple sacks that game, but you took that play off, JB.
Oh, man. Absolutely, man. Hey, Keith, I want to ask you, because the big conversation here now is on Barkley. This guy had over 460 carries. He's had a situation where he has had 3 knee surgeries in his years when he was in New York. The offensive line is banged up. You have that amount of carries, plus you had 2,000 yards for a running back. Can you lose a step? Can the tires get a little worn? You tell me on what you're seeing with Saquon Barkley this year.
No, Saquon is fine. Yeah, so to answer your first question, yes, tires can get worn out. Just like a quarterback's arm can have too many throws on it. And so as long as there's holes opening up, running backs can find them. Maybe not as quick as they used to, but they can still find them. So Saquon Barkley is fine. It's not him. When you got to make a great run to get to the line of scrimmage, that's a problem. Last year they were moving the line of scrimmage. They were blocking those guys 2 and 3 yards down the field, and Saquon was going 3 and 4 yards up the field before he had to make a move. You look at some of those holes that Detroit opened up last night for Jamar Gibbs. You mean tell me Saquon wouldn't be able to run through that? So the problems are with us. It's in the mirror. Everybody on that offensive line, they're responsible. Whether you're the starter, whether you're the backup, you got to get the job done. And they haven't gotten the job done. It's not like the holes are open and Saquon's not hitting them, or he's stumbling and no, that's not it. And the calls that the Eagles are having right now, up prior to Sunday against Minnesota, they were all internal. It has to. The answers got to come in that locker room, and you got to have some hard conversations sometimes with some of the guys, and hopefully that 2-week period that they went through that made a difference. This past Sunday, to get that win against Minnesota, because you're going to need that going forward. Otherwise, it'll be a lost season. And I don't know, we were 3-0, people were panicking. We were 4-0, people were panicking. 4-1, 4-2. I'm like, guys, it's a long season. And hopefully we'll look back at this part of the season and be like, okay, that was just a stump, a stump in the road. Because it's a 17-game season, and I always break it down like this. Every 4 games is like the first quarter. So the first 4 games were the first quarter. Second 4 games are halftime. Third quarter, fourth quarter, 17th game is overtime. So right now, the first 4 games of the season, we went 4-0, scratch it, throw it away. The next 4 games of the season, right now we're 1-2. You got to play 500 or better, to get to the playoffs and go to where we want to go. So this game Sunday, against the Giants, let the Eagles really show back up again. We got to give them some straightening, because that team that I saw 10 days ago on Thursday night against the Giants, that was not the Eagles. They got out hit, out coached, out played, out everything. So and it's how the scheduling work. You played them again twice in 3-week period. I want to see the different Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon.
How about this, Keith? You mentioned internal issues. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by internal noise. I mean, sometimes, as you know, man, you could step on your own, inside a locker room, and you could self-sabotage yourself. What do you mean by that when you said everything came from within?
Well, I think it was more noise from within. Guys are not getting the ball enough. Guys aren't holding their blocks long enough. Guys not getting off blocks. Guys not covering. People not trusting it. So it was just a big trust issue on the field that you could tell it was some issues all internally, off the field. I mean, last year, and where was we're still have a young defense, and you need to have more veterans in the locker room. I mean, look, go to the first game of the season, the first play of the season. Our defense, Jalen Carter,
Jalen Carter.
is getting kicked out of the game, spitting, talking trash. We're defending Super Bowl champs. We're looking for game one of the season first, and you get kicked out. Where was the veterans? Where was the veteran leadership there? He should have been nowhere near the Cowboy huddle. We're about to play the first game of the season, and you over here talking? We don't have nothing to talk about. Let them shoulder pads, helmets, and football does all the talking. There's now not a time to be talking. We're both 0-0 right now. Last year is last year, and that was like, oh my gosh! Thank God we won the game, but that was like a tell to what was to come in the future. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and even against the Rams, we blocked a field goal, and then we get a 15-yard penalty instead of trying the ball at 25. We're on the 9-yard line because you're still chirping all this stuff. Hey, guys, we don't need to talk. Go out there and play. And so all those little things, they draw attention. Those are all discipline problems that has to be taken care of internally. Those self-inflicted wounds. I mean, the Cowboys would gladly, take a penalty to get Jalen Carter out of the game. But we've been game planning. This is our number one defensive lineman. Yet he's not going to play, not because he's hurt, because of mental things. That was just a mental mistake by him to get kicked out of the game. We got to be better. We got to be better. And so last year is last year, totally different. So I said everything comes from internally. It's not like we have huge injury issues. Every team has injuries, but you got to go back to reminder who you are. As a player, I'm a Philadelphia Eagle. We win. We got to get this thing straightened out. And I mean, everybody's going to learn from Jalen Hurts on down. Everybody got to be held accountable. And I love Jalen Hurts, but I think, and I'm not there. I'm on the outside looking in. But sometimes he has to, be a jerk in that locker room. You can't be everybody's friend. Sometimes you're the leader. Sometimes you got to say some popular and sometimes unpopular things to get everyone's attention, to get us back to where we want to go. And that's back to the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, you can win the Super Bowl. But you can't get to the Super Bowl without getting to the playoffs.
Keith, do you think that this team has a discipline problem, and that's why Brandon Graham was signed today? That of all the things that you just said, because like you said, there's just numerous things. The chirping by AJ, the chirping by some of the offensive players at the quarterback, throwing shots. I mean, he threw another shot today, in my opinion, at the quarterback, going and talking about the offense again. So do you think there's a discipline problem on this football team?
Yeah, but all correctable. It is correctable. And, when you're on top, you're an easy target. People are easily, to take shots at you. And everybody who you think is your friend, whether it be a reporter, a friend, a family member, not always have your best interests involved. But you don't have to answer every question that was answered to you in a certain way. Especially, they ought to be more adept to knowing when you're getting a gotcha question, when somebody's trying to find controversy, trying to poke holes into your parachute, if you will. So the Eagles, how did they win the Super Bowl last year? By being together as one. Somebody made a play, everybody was excited. Not, well, when is it going to be my turn to make a play? Guys, we win together, we lose together. And so nobody wants to see Philadelphia repeat other than the Philadelphia Eagle fans. You got 31 other cities that don't want that to happen. So we have to realize that this is what you fight, scratch, and claw for, is to be the Super Bowl champ so you can do it again. Kansas City did it. When they won it, they repeated. They were trying to three-peat. But you had a lot of people still, I thought Kansas City did a great job of keeping the team focused on what's important now. That's winning, W-I-N, what's important now, win. And they did a good job to get to 3 straight Super Bowls. Who say they're not going to get to a 4th Super Bowl? So the Eagles, can take a page out of some of that book. But yeah, we beat them. But how do we get back there to do it again? And don't worry about the rest of the league. Worry about themselves. And that's what I want to see the Eagles, get back to doing. They did it this past Sunday. Because winning does cover a multitude of faults. But now let's get another winning streak going. We had a 4-game winning streak, followed by a 2-game losing streak. Let's get another winning streak going.
How about this too? Help me out here and help everyone else out in Philly here. So, some superstar talented players. I know the offensive line, no disrespect to your boys, but very limited. I mean, you have Chris Carter on that team. You have Keith Jackson on that team. You have you. And, of course, you have Randall. How much of that do you guys have when it comes to, I want the ball? Keith, you wanted the ball carrying it. You wanted it thrown to you. I'm sure Keith Jackson wanted the ball thrown to him. I'm sure that when you had Chris Carter and everything was going well with him, he wanted the football too. You got a receiver right now that's bitching like every single week, A.J. Brown, that he wants the ball. I get it. That's part of the DNA of that position in today's NFL. But did you ever have to go to Randall? And did you go to Randall and say, how does that communication work? Randall, get me the ball here, man. I mean, it's going to be a mismatch versus the linebackers. Or maybe Keith said, listen, they can't cover us, man. Those linebackers are not good. How does that dynamic work?
Well, it was only one person on those teams that wanted the ball every time, and that was Chris Carter. Chris would go to the third string quarterback to tell the second string quarterback to tell Randall to get him the ball. But that was just like white noise, if you will. But the key thing that was the difference, we wanted to win. That's all we wanted to do was win the football game. And so we didn't get you're going to get your touches anyway. Gosh, if we was playing in today's game, these guys average a lot of times double figures in targets. If you get 10, 11, 12 targets, you're supposed to come back with 75 or 80% of those targets. I mean, I could count the games on one hand where I got targeted 10 times or more. So when I caught 7 balls, I probably had 7 balls thrown to me. If I caught 4, I probably had 4 or 5 thrown to me. Keith Jackson, if he caught 8 balls, which was, you didn't get, which is exciting, he only had 8 or 9 balls thrown to him. He never, consistently had 12, 15 balls coming his way. So it was all about winning. So sometimes Keith would come into the huddle and say, hey, I'm getting double covered. I'm going to do this, and that's going to free up Keith or Chris and vice versa. So we was all about winning. So sometimes it's not about you catching the ball or getting a touchdown, because whoever scores a touchdown, we all scored a touchdown. It counts for all of us. You don't get extra because it was you. So that's what I'm saying. That brotherly love thing that they had last year has to come back, because you're always looking for people to attack you from outside. So that's what I said. The answers come from within the locker room. It's there.
I'm wondering.
They also have plenty of more enemies outside the locker room who don't want to see them do well. So the players, those 53 guys in the locker room, they got to know it's us. And we have people that's supporting us, but we can't tear us up each other. We can't stab each other in the back if we're trying to win it all. If we're just trying to go out there and have some individual success, yeah, you can go do that, but that ain't going to win you those games. That ain't going to win you no Super Bowl.
Isn't that the quarterback's responsibility, though, Keith, to settle the locker room and the huddle, where it's his responsibility to go like this, what you said. Hey, so you're talking to me about playing like not selfish football. It could have been easy for you to go over there. Hey, Keith, if you wanted to be 1,000-yard guy rushing and 1,000-yard receiving like Roger Craig back in the day, you could have did that crap too. But you just got through saying you have to be a little you have to be a little bit more team-oriented. Maybe that's what's going on in the huddle here, because, dude, this guy, A.J. Brown, man, the guy pitched the perfect game, 158 quarterback rating on Sunday, and he's still complaining today about the offense.
Yeah. I'll just take it with a grain of salt. With AJ. Get him another book to read on the sideline or whatever. That was about. But give him another hug. But one thing I've always said about quarterbacks is they're like the head coach. They get too much credit when the team wins, too much blame when the team loses. And the most successful teams have multiple leaders on it. When the quarterback's going to get majority of the credit. So the Eagles lost a lot of leadership, last year. Not just Brandon Graham, thank God he's back now, but Brandon's not going to be there all the time. Somebody has got to grow up. So those younger guys have to grow up in the leadership roles. You know, you lost, Josh Sweat last year.
No,
So
Williams.
you got multiple leaders. You know, Saquon is a leader on that team. So is Jalen Hurts. You know, AJ's not a leader right now. But so all those, the line, those guys, the leaders got every position group has to have a leader to identify them, and then you have one or two spokesperson for that side. You know, like the Philadelphia Eagles in my time, yes, Reggie White was the leader of the team. Reggie was just one of the leaders. Randall Cunningham was another one. I was the leader. Seth Joyner, was a leader. So we have multiple leaders on the team. Only one or two guys get the credit for it. And so all the leadership on the Eagles needs to come forth. And I'm telling you, that leadership will turn back into W's instead of L's.
How about this? I want to read something to you here, and you tell me about Jalen Hurts. The offense right now is 26th. Passing game is 22nd. Run game is 30th. Scoring, they're 14th. Red zone, they're 1. Third down, they're 27th, which means a lot of 3 and outs. It's 28 quarters of football. You and I go on trends. The fans will call things stats. You and me get a trend book every Wednesday when we're going forward on building a game plan. What do you make of the Eagle offense as a balanced offense attack? I mean, I say the quarterback's limited, and they just don't. You saw what he could do, but they don't do that on a week-to-week basis. Why don't they do that, Keith, in your opinion?
Well, you can't. I don't like to compare them to other teams because other teams have different personnel and different objectives and different styles of offense. Whereas at the end of the day, it's about getting a big W on the scoreboard. And yes, I know analytics and stats, that's important, but they only tell me half the story. Eye test tells me another story. I mean, and you look at some of those 3 and outs, you run the reason why they get 3 and out because you're in third and long a lot. So you got to be better on first and second down. You want to be good on third down. So that's what I said. It's a lot of blame all the way around. I mean, that Eagles offense that this year won a Super Bowl last year. And one of the reasons why they won the Super Bowl last year was when Kansas City said, Saquon Barkley's not going to beat us. Okay, fine, but we're going to run Saquon just enough so that y'all stay in certain defenses where we can throw the ball over the top. And still, you got to respect play action because Saquon can break one at any time. So you have to still run the football. But that if the Eagles wouldn't committed to the run in that Super Bowl, the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl. They're like, well, let's just throw the ball 40 times to see if we can still win this game. It's going to be hard. But because they kept running the ball and kept their identity, that's why they won the Super Bowl. So the Eagles are still don't get away from what you do best. And right now, everybody's not doing their job offensively. They're missing blocks. We got some injuries. We have some drop balls. We have some missed passes. But it's still good enough to win a Super Bowl. It's been proven. And so until you prove me otherwise, I mean, don't say that Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball deep down the middle. He can't throw routes. He can. And he's proven he can do it. But I've seen other quarterbacks do it, but they ain't winning no games. They're not going to Super Bowl. They're not making playoffs. They got some numbers. I mean, look at Joe Burrow in Cincinnati last year. Oh, they lit up the scoreboard. They ain't make the playoffs. They didn't win no Super Bowl. So the bottom line is winning. We tickets will sell. People will still come, no matter what style, because they want to leave the stadium at the end of the day with a big W. I know we lost, but we threw for 400 yards and ran for 170. But man, you see how we scored 5 touchdowns, but you lost. Yeah, but look, no, that's nothing to be bragging about. I'll take a 10-0, 13-7 win all day long as we win.
Couple last ones here for you, Keith. You think the difference this year in this offense and last year is that you said something perfect here. Man, they were in third and short the entire time. The defense kept them in good field position because they got a ton of 3 and outs on the offensive side. You think the difference with this offense this year is clearly the run game, and they're not winning first and second down, and that's why they're in third and long and why they're 27th and 3 and outs right now in the league. They go back to winning first and second down, then the offense will right itself. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no question. The playbook would open up even more. The playbook is small when it's 3rd and 7 and longer. You can't run all these plays. You can run a quick screen. Yeah, that'll get you 4 or 5 yards, but now you're punting. But when it's 3rd and 3 or less, 3rd and 4 or less, hey, the playbook is still wild. You got to respect the run. Because Saquon can run for 4 yards with the right hold. He run 4 or 44. You got to still, that dictates the defense. But now when you're in 3rd and 7 and longer consistently, you're not going to have a great deal of success. Not in this league. Maybe in some certain colleges you can do that, but not if you're trying to win it. No, you're not going to do that. Defenses are too good, and the personnel's too good to continue to have great success in 3rd and 7 and longer.
It's Gang Green weekend. It's Kelly Green weekend, right?
Yes, I'm in the building. I'm coming this weekend.
Oh, you're going to be in the house?
I will be in the house. Yes,
I think
indeed.
Eric Allen's being honored too.
He is. He's getting his Hall of Fame ring, I think, at halftime at a game this Sunday. So I'm going out to dinner with him on Saturday night, along with some other Eagles. So we're gonna have dinner on Saturday night and celebrate a win on Sunday. And I'll be one of the loudest voices in the stadium when he gets his Hall of Fame ring.
What was that? What was that environment like with that team? I mean, it was such a massive personality team. I mean, we don't see very many teams. I'll say the 85 Bears, you guys were maybe a little bit with the Giants and LT's guys, but nothing like you and the 85 Bears.
No, the Giants don't compare to us. Because, I'm great friends with Pepper Johnson. He said, man, it was business with the Giants. You guys, it was business and personal. You guys actually love each other, actually get along as one. Y'all care about each other. Y'all always there for each other. I mean, and so I always tell people, playing in Philadelphia, the nickname is City of Brotherly Love. It was just apropos. All these personalities from all over the United States come together in that locker room, and the bond that we had and still have today is just strong. I mean, I was at the Eric Allen's Hall of Fame ceremony in Canton, Ohio this summer, and I hadn't seen Eric maybe in about 4 or 5 years. And talked to him after he got voted in, but it was just like we had seen each other yesterday. I mean, we were his wife Lynn. It was just like, man, it's just a bond that we have that would never be broken. It's like when I look at the behind you, Jerome Brown's jersey, I still hear his voice in my ear every day. That's my brother. He's probably sitting out in heaven, sitting back laughing at us right now. Talking about, Keith Byars, you still talking about that sack I didn't get? Yes, Jerome, I'm still talking about the sack you didn't get.
Hey, all I know is this. He ain't sitting anywhere. He's in a fast car somewhere, driving that bad puppy somewhere. That Grand National is.
I can still hear it right now.
Or him driving one of them motorcycles in the Eagle parking lot. I remember going up.
Oh, my gosh.
That dude's doing 175 in that parking lot there where they had the Spectrum and they had the Vet. He's driving along in that, right?
Oh, you're over there by JFK Stadium, yeah.
Hey, man. Keith, that's so good. By the way, real quick here, Ohio State. All right, man. Would you rather have a national title or, how about this? What's more important to Ohio State Buckeye guys? You winning a national title, Keith, or you being 3-0 versus Michigan? What would you take more, 3-0 versus Michigan or a national title?
I was going to say, it's hard to win one without the other, but they proved me differently last year. They did not beat Michigan and won the national title. But in this environment, the national title, because it's different. You can lose the Michigan game and still make the playoffs and win a national title.
How many pants do you have?
You couldn't. I have 2.
You got 2 pants?
Yes.
Is that some of your most prized possession for winning that Michigan game?
No question. I mean, that game is unlike any other. I mean, you can call me biased, but of all the sports rivalry there are out there, that's number one. The only thing close to me is Army-Navy, but the Ohio State-Michigan is number one sports rivalry. The Yankees and Red Sox, they play too many times a year to be counted. USC, Notre Dame, not even close. Nobody cares about Alabama, Auburn, but Ohio State, Michigan, it sticks with you forever. Those 4 years that you play in that rivalry will always be there. I mean, a few years ago when Jim Harbaugh was the coach, I was at a golf tournament in Michigan in June, and Michigan had beat Ohio State, I think, for the first time in many years. and I'm sitting there getting some breakfast, and lo and behold, you get that feeling somebody staring at you, and I looked over, and it was Jim Harbaugh, and he's just smiling, and I grabbed my food from the buffet, and he said, "Hi, Keith." "Hi, Jim." No, he don't like me. So I go across the room to sit down and eat my breakfast, my oatmeal and eggs. And a few minutes later, Jim comes over, walks over to my table. "So how's everything going? How you enjoying summer?" I'm like, "Jim, you don't small talk with me." But because they won, he used to stick the needle in. If we had won that game, Jim wouldn't have saw 2 words to me. But now he goes, "Oh yeah," I'm like, but we haven't played against each other in over 40 years in college. But hey, that's what happens. They were always, be a nemesis, and so whenever we get together with Ohio State, Michigan guys, that's the question you ask me, what did you do? Did you beat Michigan? Did you beat Ohio State? And if your answer is 0, you're gonna get ribbed even more. So I say, "Hey man, I was 2-2 against y'all, and I think I had 7 touchdowns." And said, "Y'all, my sophomore year, y'all beat us. I only had 2 touchdowns. My junior year, we beat them to go to the Rose Bowl. 2 touchdowns wasn't good enough, so I had to go get 3. So I scored 3 on you that afternoon."
Man,
So we had some good times.
I ask Gary Cobb that all the time. He goes, one of the greatest things was being able to go and play in a Rose Bowl. And I go, "Who'd you enjoy playing against?" He goes, "Hey, anytime you got a chance to play against Ohio State and you got a chance to play Woody Hayes and those guys, man, those games were always great going and playing in a Rose Bowl." Did you enjoy playing in the Rose Bowl more or NFL playoff game?
Oh, that's a hard question. No, that's not fair. Because the granddaddy, the Rose Bowl, but that's the biggest college game you could play in.
You bet.
At the time, and the times have changed now. But everybody wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. Even if
Oh,
your conference
I did
couldn't play in
too.
the Rose, you wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. So, but the 4 bowl games I played in, the Rose Bowl, I had the least fun because they knew whether we paid more than anybody. You're in Los Angeles. The committee doesn't care if you have a good time because they were kind of snobbish. But you put that aside because it's the Rose Bowl. This is our goal, to play in the Rose Bowl. It was at the St. Gabriel Mountains in the Hush of the Sun.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching the Rose Bowl. It's coming on at 5:00. There's no competition. There's not 2 bowl games on at once. It's the only game. Everybody's watching the Rose Bowl, and you want to play in it. So that's, the cream de la cream in college football. That's the one game you want to play in. But now pros, after not making the playoffs my rookie year in 16-game season, and you go home and that's it. I'm like, there's got to be more. My college roommate and best friend, Pepper Johnson, wins the Super Bowl my rookie year with the New York Giants. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. My second year, I missed the playoffs because of the strike. And then we won the division my third year, in '88. And I'm like, if you're only playing in the National Football League just to play a regular season, you chose the wrong profession. Because playoff football is totally different than regular season football, just like regular season football is totally different than preseason football. You play in the NFL to play in the playoffs, because then once you're in the playoffs, now you got a chance to play in the big game, the Super Bowl. And if you're not playing to play that game, why are you even playing? You need to go on and retire.
Last one here for you, Keith. Is there a regret that you have playing in Philly? I mean, you mentioned the playoffs here. I mean, is there any regret with those great talented players? Now, look, the NFL had so many good teams: the Niners, the Giants, the Redskins. I mean, go down the list. Nobody had free agency. Everybody was able to keep their guys. And I say it was really one of the golden ages of the National Football League. And teams were so deep. Was there a regret, though, that you have in your NFL?
I don't know if I would use the word regret, because I'm a wordsmith. Because I wouldn't use the word. I have no regrets. I want to do it all over. I regret that they didn't postpone the Fall Bowl in '88. Because I think if they'd have postponed that game, we win. Because television, we got another game, because that was the first game on that Saturday. We had 2 playoff games, so we got to get this playoff game in by any means necessary. But we can't see.
No, Jerome told me he couldn't see 3 feet in front of him.
He's not lying. I'm in the backfield. I couldn't see the tight end. I could only see the tackles and the guards and the quarterback. I couldn't see the wide receiver or the tight end. I think the NFL learned that lesson, so that's the lesson I had. If a fall happens again in the playoffs, they're going to delay the game. They'll postpone it until the fall clears. So I think that cost us a Super Bowl in '91 when Randall, tore his knee up the first game of the season. Is that a regret? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it regret, but if Randall Cunningham was healthy coming off the MVP season of 1990 and the number one defense in '91, there's no way, we would be talking about that. That's two Super Bowl teams, I'm for sure, that if I had it all over again, karma, we win the Super Bowl. Because even that 91 team is the last team in the National Football League. Up until now, they was number one against defense, number one total defense, number one against the run, number one against the pass. No defense has duplicated that since 1991.
That's right.
So, and if some people ask me, who's the greatest defense, the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens? I'm like, well, what about the 91 Eagles? I take them over all those teams. So I wouldn't use the word regret, but I wish I could have those two seasons, again. And then my third one would be, I wish I could have always played, all my whole career in Philadelphia. It was just different times, free agency, but I wanted to start my career in Philadelphia. If I had it all over again, if I could have done it and controlled it, I would have played my whole career in Philadelphia.
Do you think Jalen Carter, do you see Jalen Carter and Jerome Brown, do you see similarities in the two guys?
Yes. That's all I'm going to say, because Jerome is great. So Jalen's still getting there. So I see similarities. I only see similarities.
I'm going to leave it there.
I'm going to put him in front of Jerome wouldn't have got kicked out of no game.
No.
So I only see similarities. So Jalen is young. He didn't have a Reggie White that would snatch him by the collar if he would have been over there by the other team's huddle. And I love Jalen Carter. I'm glad he's the Eagle, but I want him to stay an Eagle.
Absolutely. Keith, I love you, man. I'm going to say
good luck. Too, man.
Man, I do. I
love doing your show. It's a good show.
I love you so much, man. I mean, Jerome talked about you so much, man. I know the Brooksville stuff and all of us, man.
Wow.
Last time we saw each other personally was in Brooksville. Obviously, we said goodbye to him.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was there. Get this. So my wife is in the middle. There's Cortez Kennedy. There's Russell Maryland. Everybody's crying. Chris Carter's on the board. Reggie's giving the sermon. We were all pallbearers that day for that day.
Oh, yeah.
And we all said goodbye. We took our ties off, remember?
Yep.
We took our ties off and we put it in there for him because we all wanted to say goodbye. And, dude, we're brothers forever, man.
Yeah, Don't keep going because I'm about to get melancholy over here.
Hey, have a great time this
brother.
Weekend, man. Have a great time this weekend going back home to Philadelphia. Thank you, Keith.
All right, Dan. Pleasure.
You got it, man. That's Keith Byars.